The first Thanksgiving, commonly remembered as a harmonious feast shared between the English Pilgrims and the Native Americans, stands emblematically as a beacon of unity amidst the expansive saga of early colonial history. However, the lead-up to this event was riddled with adversities, mutual suspicions, and the imperative of diplomacy. At the nexus of this brokerage of a temporary peace are Massasoit, the Sachem of the Wampanoag tribe, and Squanto, a Native American guide and interpreter. This two-part video seeks to navigate the surrounding events around the first Thanksgiving, focusing on the events before and the events they forgot to teach us in school that transpired after. Welcome to another episode of Stranger History. If you like learning about our strange history, please like and subscribe to our channel. Upon disembarking from the Mayflower in 1620, the Pilgrims found themselves in a foreign, unyielding land. The New England winter proved treacherous, with cold, disease, and hunger having the Pilgrim population before spring. Unknown to many settlers, this region had already been touched by the hand of European presence, not in the form of settlers, but of disease and enslavement. Prior encounters with Europeans had introduced diseases to which Native Americans had no immunity, culminating in widespread death and, in certain areas, near total decimation. Squanto, or Tisquantum, emerges in this narrative with a backstory intertwined with tragic adventures and pivotal skills. Kidnapped by an English explorer and sold into European slavery, Squanto managed to return to his homeland, only to find his Patuxet tribe decimated by disease. Fluent in English from his European sojourns, Squanto's invaluable linguistic skills made him an irreplaceable mediator between the Pilgrims and surrounding Native American tribes. He taught the settlers essential survival techniques, cultivating corn, fishing local waters, and identifying edible plants. More than just a teacher, he became a trusted advisor to the Plymouth colony's leadership. While Squanto's role was vital for immediate survival and initial communication, the broader peace and alliance between the Plymouth settlers and the indigenous people rested largely on the diplomatic acumen of Massasoit, the Wampanoag Sachem. Recognizing potential benefits and wary of other powerful tribes like the Narragansetts, Massasoit brokered a peace treaty with the Pilgrims in March 1621. This treaty pledged mutual support and defense, setting the groundwork for relative peace in the ensuing decades. In the autumn of 1621, after a successful harvest aided significantly by Squanto's teachings, the Pilgrims organized a three-day feast. While often romanticized as an altruistic invitation, it's believed that the gathering of Wampanoags, led by Massasoit, might have initially been an investigatory response to a Pilgrim gun salute. So in other words, the Pilgrims were drunk and firing their muskets into the air, and Massasoit and Wampanoags went to investigate because they thought the Pilgrims were being attacked. Nonetheless, what ensued was a peaceful coalescence, with both groups sharing food, entertainment, and perhaps cautious optimism about their shared future. And from this point, English settlers and Native Americans would have centuries of peace, mutually beneficial trade and commerce. Just kidding. As English settlers increasingly arrived in what is today Connecticut and Massachusetts in the early 1630s, their expanding communities inevitably encroached upon territories traditionally inhabited and controlled by Native American tribes. While initial interactions often revolved around trade and tentative alliances, the demographic pressures posed by European expansion began to strain the indigenous way of life and territorial integrity. Central to the emerging tensions was the lucrative fur trade. European demand for beaver pelts made the fur trade a focal point of colonial and indigenous economies. The English, eager to assert control over this trade, often clashed with the Pequot tribe, which had historically dominated regional trade networks. As the Dutch, another colonial power in the region, also vied for control over the fur trade, the Pequots found themselves navigating a complex web of economic alliances and rivalries. The New England landscape in the 1630s was characterized by shifting alliances and power dynamics among various Native American tribes. The Pequots, a dominant force, often clashed with neighboring tribes such as the Mohegans and Narragansetts. As English settlers formed strategic alliances, notably with the Mohegans and Narragansetts, The stage was set for a larger confrontation, with tribal rivalries intertwining with colonial expansionist ambitions. Several incidents exacerbated the simmering tensions between the Pequots and the English colonists. Notable among these was the 1634 killing of Captain John Stone and several of his crew members by the Pequots, reportedly in retaliation for previous European acts of violence against Native Americans. Though the details surrounding Stone's actions and motivations remain contested, his death was a significant point of contention. Additionally, the murder of a trader named John Oldham in 1636, attributed to a tribe allied with the Pequots, further fueled the fires of conflict. Amidst these tangible frictions, a chasm of cultural misunderstandings deepened the divide. Different perceptions of justice, land ownership, and societal organization meant that both the English colonists and the Pequots often misread each other's intentions and actions. This mutual incomprehension, layered atop the tangible pressures of territorial and economic contestations, further destabilized relations. English sentiment towards Native Americans was a melange of religious convictions, practical considerations, and cultural biases. While individual English settlers exhibited a range of feelings, from genuine respect and curiosity to outright hostility, the overarching narrative was one of European superiority and divine entitlement. Over time, as the initial dependence on Native American knowledge waned and English settlements grew, these sentiments increasingly leaned towards dispossession and dominance, setting the stage for greater conflicts and the long-term marginalization of Native Americans. The amalgamation of these economic, political, and socio-cultural factors set the New England frontier on a collision course. By 1636, the intertwined tensions between the Pequots and the English, accentuated by tribal dynamics and the shadow of previous hostilities, had reached a tipping point. The eruption of the Pequot War was not merely a sudden outburst of violence, but the culmination of years of escalating pressures and misunderstandings.